guys remember that video we watched a while back? I think maybe High Time shared it, or I don't know where the hell we watched. Maybe it was the Growers Gauntlet thing. But a dude had a time lapse, and he had 4 plants in, and then there was the one in the corner that nothing was happening. He was putting like tops on it and things in it over and over, trying to get it to grow. And he eventually just pulled it out and continued the time lapse. You see it's gone. It was recently on High Times. I'm pretty sure they shared it. And it's like, shout out to you, brother, for trying. But when the other plants were like yay big and the other one didn't even sprout at all, get rid of it. Let alone if it's growing and everything else is ready to go into flower damn near, and you've got not even a clone size plant. Like, it literally will be faster to take a clone from your other flower or your other vegging plant and grow that versus it would be to just continue trying to nurture this weak seedling, And
it will recover most of the time, right? Obviously situational dependent, but you can get most seedlings to recover, right? But gosh, again, I don't want to emphasize it more and more. Like, it's going to take 7 days for it to recover. And then by day 21, you've got, the plant has bounced back, but you've got a small plant at that time. And then like all of a sudden you're at day 30, 40, and it's still not happy you're still not ready to even close to flip to flowering. And all of a sudden it's going to take a while. It could really throw you off track schedule wise. I think a lot of small home growers will look to flip to flowering day 30, day 40, day 50, some people up to day 60, right? But and we do a whole episode on how to flip to flower fast. That's an upcoming one, so stay tuned for that. I think it's a really, really great conversation. That'll go into that a little bit more. But again, like, it could really, really set you back if you're taking the time to try to get seedlings to recover versus just starting fresh.
I 100% agree. I can't add anything to that. I really want to express, when you say overwatering, I think the next hardest or most frequent issue is overwatering. I'd say that the issue that I come across after that is the acclimation of the plant to the new environment. A lot of people are using domes more than ever. Propagation tents.
The plant to the environment.
Yeah, they're not hardening it off. So the plant isn't ready to go from a premium, like, at least that's how I describe my germination and propagation stage. It's premium. There's pump full of moisture. It's 90+%. It's got this dome. It's fantastic. It's 82 degrees in there. And then all of a sudden these plants go from the mother's womb to reality.
To the tomb.
Oh, boss. And that shock is, that again, same idea. It's going to kill them. And trying to get them to rebound from that is very, very tough. And so it's not hard to take the plant out of the environment, to put it in the new environment for half hour, 30 minutes, take it out, put it back into its environment, let it go back, sit back in the environment for an hour, a couple hours, bring it back. I know it sounds like a lot of work, but
that's that hardening off period.
It's particularly with clones, because clones the same thing. In order to get that good root system, you really got to pump them full of water. Humidity. And it's just a reality check for them once they get out of there.
Are you talking about going from indoor to outdoor, or
Both.
Indoor?
Both.
Well, maybe like your propagation tent to your veg space, because let's say you're using the ion beam lights, little lower wattage, lower intensity, and now you're flipping over to your Evo 8s.
I would argue that I would still want you. Now, this is taking a little bit back to the HPS days, but I would have still hardened them off, going from like a CFL or a light LED to a full-on HPS or a metal halide.
For a few days, I'd take all 12 of my plants,
put them out,
and bring them in. It could totally bro science.
Yeah,
and take them in there, and I put them in there for the 4 or 5 hours maybe, and then I go bring them back into underneath the T5s.
See, and in 4 or 5 hours, I'd hope that they didn't already die.
Dude, it's crazy how much more girth they would just because that intensity of light, it's like I'm putting them in steroids. They're going to
I see what
time
you're saying.
chamber.
I used to take mine and put them in the windowsill on the floor and let the sunlight just beam on them for a couple hours.
Yeah, so give them some different intensity light, and totally bro science. Just disclaimer, totally bro science.
Yeah, I'm in particular, I'm referring more to when you're transitioning to the new environment and you want to just make sure that they're not going to die. It's the acclimation phase, or hardening off. Whether you're going indoor to outdoor or to a high propagation area to the veg tent. I'm assuming, you're going to have less of an impact if they're hardier genetics and so on and so forth, but I'm just speaking in particular to going from the seedling stage into the new veg space.
Well, and I think this is my argument of not being too sensitive and too nurturing as a seedling. Because if you're sitting here and it's like in the like an incubator, I've seen some people are like, okay, I started with peroxide and this and this and this, and then after that I flipped to this, and then I gave it 2 days in here, and it's like almost too sensitive. So once you do run into a little harder of a situation, that plant, it's almost like it's just weak and it can't handle. It's not been hardened off. Total bro science again, but to the point where I sometimes see better results when I just plop it and drop it versus trying to go real slow in a small container, then another container, then another container. Then it's, I don't know, maybe it's subjective, but
Sounds like I'm a little bit rougher when it comes to that transition of environment. To be honest with you guys, clearing, comparing ways. I live in a very dry climate. Natural RH is 20 to 30%. Wintertime, it gets down into the teens.
that's insane.
As far as relative humidity percent. So, I have to condition my lung room and so on and so forth. But going from 70% RH, for example, I have taken seedlings and put them into their new environment and struggled sometimes with humidity. And, they went from 60% RH down to an environment that was 30% RH. And I'm trying to think if I really had a noticeable stunt. I don't think I can say confidently like I have seen a stunt, but maybe it did stunt and I didn't see it. But so yeah, I've typically when I do that transition, I'm kind of keeping that same humidity for seedling, and I'm even pretty close to it in veg. I'm still up 60+% in veg as well. So that transition from seedling to veg humidity and temperatures in the same range that I spoke about before, it's not that big of a swing. So maybe maybe I just don't notice it because I'm not transitioning.
This is why I disclaimer bro science.
Big of a difference of environment.
Sometimes you do stuff based on the logic that you have. Like, well, it would make sense, right?
I kind of shifted the conversation afterwards in regards to going from indoor to outdoor. I meant more so that when you're going from like that the propagation area, so like that high humidity, like a clone dome is essentially what I'm thinking of. When you got that propagation,
80%,
so 80
90 plus percent humidity.
Yeah. And then you're taking that. So we're day 14 for clones. And then you take that clone, you put it into its medium in the pot. You take that pot, you throw it in the tent. My tent is never 90+% humidity. So that stage right there is really what I was referring to. And particularly for seedlings because they're just still so fragile. So yes, you probably didn't see a difference because you are able to keep your not necessarily your germination area, but the veg or the early veg stage and the veg tent.
This FTS clip was brought to you by AC Infinity, leaders in garden innovation. Use discount code TheStash15 at checkout to save some money on your order.
From the Stash Podcast.